Hi guys, as always, welcome back to my channel. Very glad to have you here. Today we have with us Marina Williams. Marina is a sustainability expert who helps people, communities, and companies reevaluate their environmental impact and decide how they can do things a little bit better in layman's terms. So today we did an interview via Google Hangouts with Marina. She was gracious enough to want to give me an interview in person, but unfortunately we could not be together. So even though the video quality may not be exactly on par, please make sure you stick around and listen to everything that Marina has to say because it's useful for everybody, from corporate head honchos to people like me. So enjoy the video, guys, and as always, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions or requests for experts that you'd like to hear from, please let me know in the comments below. Okay. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm down here. Hey, I'm down here. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm very, very happy to have with me Marina Williams, who is a sustainability professional. So we're very excited to hear what she has to say and what she has to teach us. So hi, Marina. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
No, it's an honor. Thank you very much for coming. So I just want to jump right in. And my first question for you will be, okay, so what does the word sustainability actually mean?
Well, there are different definitions to it. The most traditional and widespread definition is the ability for generations to fulfill their needs without compromising the ability of future generations to fulfill their own needs. Okay. So basically, not leaving the world depleted. Okay. So that we would impair their ability.
Okay. All right, that's easy enough to understand. And can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to go down this path, to take the studies that you took upon?
Well, I studied environmental science. At the time, the jobs I ended up having, mostly corporate sustainability, didn't exist. I wasn't very sure what journey I was embarking into. I just knew I was very interested in the topic, fascinated not so much about the phenomena in isolation, but the relationships among them. And that's how I kept going. And this ended up being, and it still is, a fascinating journey.
Cool.
I wasn't aware at the time that it was going to be such a fascinating existential level challenge.
So you would say to anybody who's studying environmental science right now that there are jobs out there and that this is something that is worth studying.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great path to follow, and more we will need people with this kind of knowledge and literacy, in not only in sustainability positions, but in every other position, have the mindset to be able to factor environmental considerations into every decision, company or the organization where they work.
Okay. And so in your experience, what's the difference between talking about sustainability with professionals versus the layperson, somebody like me who just wants to incorporate more sustainability into their everyday lives versus a big company who needs to change maybe one aspect or several aspects about the way they do business?
Well, what they do have in common in both cases is, first of all, you need to have awareness of your footprint and what your impacts are. That's, of course, a lot simpler to do if you're an individual than if you're an organization that maybe has thousands of employees. But that's basically where it all starts. Understanding your impacts, both positive and negative, to maximize the former and in the case of the company, of course, what this will mean, or any for the matter, what this will mean was embedding this kind of thinking and decision making throughout the organization and not just concentrated within a team.
Okay. Okay. And what advice would you give to the layperson who wants to add more steps into their lives? I'm mostly interested in things that people can do easily, that don't require too much energy, too much money. And then maybe we can talk about a few more advanced steps that people can take.
Yeah, there's this preconception that usually being green is more expensive. That's not necessarily the case, just as it's not the case, that eating healthy more expensive than eating unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
There's just, we have to be smart about how we do it. And actually, we can find a lot of economies to this. First thing I would do, and that's kind of fun too, is there's a lot of environmental or ecological footprint. This is where you can go and you get your own based on your lifestyle, where you live with, your means of transportation, etc. And from there, you will have, a preliminary overview, and it usually comes with a lot of suggestions. So you can start taking up those suggestions that are more readily adoptable to you, and then start planning ahead for more complex ones. Of course, it's not the same just saying, I'm ditching plastic disposable bags, which you can do the same day you decided, or
right.
putting solar panels on my roof. So of course that's where we need to do a bit of planning. But everyday decisions from billions of citizens add up. So it's important to be mindful of those.
So sustainability doesn't have to do only with individual decisions, but it's actually about community building and having these conversations together. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Exactly. It takes a village.
Yeah.
Really. Because it's also about this balance between individual, the collective, and everything in ecology pretty much is about balance, and this is not the exception. And yes, there are things that do require collaboration, for example, recycling.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that require that there are systems in place. Otherwise, it's very difficult to do it, if not unfeasible.
Okay. And can you kind of tell us a little bit about how your professional conversations have changed over your career? You mentioned in the preparation for this video when we were chatting that things seem to be speeding up. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I really think this is an exciting time to work in sustainability. It's getting more widespread, and the conversation is becoming broader. In essence, one thing that really changed in the last couple of years was that the investor community started becoming very interested. It used to be the case for long-term investors, such as pension funds, especially from Scandinavian and other developed countries. Now it's a much more diverse pool of investors that want to know where they're putting their money into, and they understand that a sound sustainability strategy is proxy to a good risk management approach. So they want to know if they're putting money into an endeavor, they want to see that, people have thought things through. That's what's happening more and more. There's this letter from Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock. I think it was issued 2018, the first one.
And I'm sorry, what is BlackRock? I think that's important for people to know.
BlackRock is an investment fund with over $1 trillion in assets under management.
Okay.
So it's very, very influential.
Right. Okay. So he wrote a letter stating.
He wrote a letter stating that companies, in addition to being profitable, which they need to be sustainable as well, they need to serve a social purpose.
Right.
you know, that coming from that particular voice got a lot of people to listen. That, you know, it's kind of stopped being a tree hugger, quote unquote, issue to being something that is, you know, related with our wealth, how we manage it, how we're, you know, preparing for the future, and how resilient are we.
Well, I'm really glad that
that was really interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. That's really great. Okay, so also kind of to wrap things up just a little bit, during our preparatory conversation, you also mentioned something called the 3 A's. Now, this is also working in a company setting, I realize, but I think it's important and interesting if you wouldn't mind just getting into that a little bit.
Well, one of the second sustainability job that I have was in Argentina, in Walmart, shortly after they launched their very comprehensive sustainability strategy. And I remember a video call with Lee Scott. I think it was at a shareholders meeting. He said, you know, there are 3 types of audiences for any change that you want to pursue: actives, agnostics, and annoying. So what he meant is, you know, that there will be the people that are the early adopters. Those are the people you need to, you know, partner with and learn from, because everybody's coming from a different place, different walk of life. And when you sit everybody at the table, that really makes a huge difference, and it can make a great impact and unleash a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
Agnostics are the people that are kind of on the fence, seeing what happens. And many of them can become, and many do become very enthusiastic, active supporters. And then the annoying, I mean, that's of course a funny nickname to make the point that this means, you know, some people are just are reluctant to see the point, or they're unlikely to adopt it. So that's not the audience with whom you should place your biggest efforts. Mm-hmm. in terms of you know, cost benefit. This is not to mean, you know, disregard them or being rude or dismissive to them. It just means, you know, that the people that you're going to focus on engaging first are not the people that seem to show a lot of resistance to these ideas. And it's just, you know, a part of respecting that as well.
Cool. Very, very interesting. All right. Well, I think that we'll wrap it up right there, and just to keep things short and sweet. And I will make sure that everybody who wants to be in contact with you has some way to get in contact with you via the description of this video. And is there anything else that you'd like to add before we say goodbye?
Well, you know what, my favorite part of my job is that I get to work with people from all the areas. That's what I love the most. I get to learn about the whole business. And I really think when people from an area that is not a sustainability area really, you know, takes sustainability to heart, and, you know, with their own subject matter expertise applies it to their area, amazing things happen. And that's a fascinating watch. It's really a privilege. So really encourage everybody to not be put off. And, you know, this is not my job. This is the sustainability team's job. It's not. It's everybody's job if it not step up our game the way we need.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you very much, Marina. It was great to have you on.
Thank you so much. That was fun.
Okay. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.